Hello guys, welcome back to Math from My Desk. In today's video, we will be deriving the product rule. So let's say we have a function L of x, where that function L of x is equal to two different functions f of x and g of x multiplied by each other. So L of x is the product of f and g. We know by the limit definition, if we wanted to find the derivative of L of x, well, L prime of x is going to equal to the limit as h goes to 0 of L of x plus h minus L of x divided by h. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to replace L of x with f of x times g of x. So we have L prime of x is equal to the limit as h goes to 0 of f of x plus h times g of x plus h minus f of x times g of x, all of this over h. Now what we're going to do right now is a little interesting, however it is algebraically allowed. So what we're going to do is we're going to subtract and add f of x times g of x plus h. And why is that? It's because in the left hand side right here, we could factor g of x plus h out, and in the right hand side we could factor f of x out if we add and subtract this. And so if we add f of x times g of x plus h and also subtract f of x times g of x plus h, this does no change to this function, so it is something that we're allowed to do. So let's go ahead and do that. So we have L prime of x is equal to the limit as h goes to 0 of f of x plus h times g of x plus h minus f of x times g of x plus h plus f of x times g of x plus h minus f of x times g of x, all of this over h. Now what we're going to go ahead and do is we are going to separate this fraction right here into two different fractions. So we're going to cut it off around right here. So let's do that. So we have L prime of x is equal to the limit as h goes to 0 of f of x plus h times g of x plus h minus f of x times g of x plus h. We have that divided by h. And then to that, we're going to go ahead and add f of x times g of x plus h minus f of x times g of x, and we have that over h. Now we know that there's a limit property that says if you have two different functions that you're adding together, so in this case this would be a function and this would be a function, and you're taking the limit of these two functions, it doesn't matter what value you're approaching, then you can evaluate the limit of the two functions differently, so separately in a way. So this is what we're going to go ahead and do now. So we have L prime of x is equal to the limit as h goes to 0 of f of x plus h times g of x plus h minus f of x times g of x plus h all over h, plus the limit is h goes to 0 of, we have f of x times g of x plus h minus f of x times g of x over h. Now what we're going to do is we're going to factor out g of x plus h in the left hand side and factor out f of x in the right hand side. So this is the reason we added and subtracted this in the first place. So let's go ahead and do just that. I'm going to move to the left right now so that I have more space. So we have L prime of x is equal to the limit as h goes to 0 of, we're factoring out g of x plus h now, so we have g of x plus h, and then we have this g of x plus h times f of x plus h minus f of x over h. And then we're going to add to that, the limit is h goes to 0 of, we're factoring out f of x, and then we have that times g of x plus h minus g of x divided by h. And now this is where we're going to start seeing, in a way, the product rule. So first of all, we have to recognize that if we take the limit of the product of two different functions, for example, in this case, g of x plus h and f of x plus h minus f of x divided by h, then we're simply evaluating the limits of each function. So we're going to evaluate the limit of g of x plus h separately from this limit right here, and we're going to multiply the two limits. So let's go ahead and do just that. So what we get is that L prime of x is equal to the limit as h goes to 0 of g of x plus h. That's simply going to be g of x, since if you plug in 0 right here, if we do direct substitution, we get g of x plus 0, which is simply g of x. And then right now what we're going to do is we're going to evaluate the limit as h goes to 0 of f of x plus h minus f of x divided by h. And you may recognize this as the limit definition of f prime of x. So what we know is that f prime of x is equal to the limit as h goes to 0 of f of x plus h minus f of x divided by h. This right here is the first principle, and this is what we have in this case right here. So this is simply f prime of x. And then to that we're going to add the limit as h goes to 0 of f of x. That's simply going to be f of x, since there is no h. And then we have the limit is multiplied by the limit as h goes to 0 of g of x plus h minus g of x divided by h. Again, this is simply g prime of x. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, and I'll see you guys soon again. And this right here is the product rule.